Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Give My Head podcast, run by the Hole in the Wall gang, where we discuss politics, comedy, culture, art, anything that tickles our fancy. I'm Tim McGarry, joined by my comedy colleague
Damon Quinn.
Ladies and gentlemen, not much to plug this week. Thank you very much to everybody who came to see Give My Head piece live. We really appreciate all your support. I'm doing a wee tour myself, a solo tour called Tim McGarry's Height of Nonsense. Details below or above or whatever. Look it up. Tim McGarry's Height of Nonsense. I'm in the Lyric Theatre. I'm all over the place, Northern Ireland. So give us a wee support. Buy a ticket if you want. You're more than welcome to. This podcast, we interview all sorts of people. We have had comedians, actors, writers, sports people. But there's a man who is a very special guest, and we're delighted to welcome a man who, if you know anything about culture or pubs in Northern Ireland, you'll know this man. It is, of course, Mr. Willie Jack. Willie, you're very welcome to the Give My Head podcast.
Thank you, Tim and Damon, and I won't be at least putting you out today if you misbehave out of off the red benches.
No, you won't, because you are the owner of probably one of my favourite pub in Belfast, the Duke of York. And my second favourite pub, which is the Dark Horse, where I had my 60th birthday party, which was rather wonderful, actually.
Yeah, until I threw you out at 10 o'clock.
You threw me out rather early.
But I think I was maybe for one of Joseph's wedding as well.
Yes, my son Joseph's wedding had a wedding party there as well. We had all sorts of gigs in there. My partner Kelly as well, who's hoping to have an exhibition in one of your...
hopefully in the Sea Holly, the famous gallery that only opened 1 year ago tomorrow, 19th of March, for a visit by their Majesties, C&C, which is not Cantrell and Cochrane, but is King Charles and Queen Camilla.
Yeah. You have turned that area, the Cathedral Quarter, almost single-handedly into kind of the cultural hub of Belfast, where a massive tourist attraction now. Can I go back a wee bit? First of all, I was a solicitor in Joseph O'Hara and Son Solicitors round the corner, bottom of High Street, mid-1980s. And I remember there was a man called Nick Price who tried to open a restaurant, and he had a long battle to get a licence to open what became Nick's Warehouse.
He did. He came in from way down south in Killinchy, in Kilmood Church Road. And the difference is when Nick and Kathy, his wife Tim, moved in, there were no other restaurants in the area.
There was nothing in that whole area.
The Duke was a bit run down. We had always done music. We'd always done alternative comedians and clubs. We had one of the very first ever lesbian discos called Juice upstairs with Caroline Stewart and different people, late 80s. But it was a bit more seedy, and Nick was kind of a pioneer.
Yeah.
Nick's Warehouse. And then after about 25 years, when Nick was going to retire, I think there were 27 other establishments around the cathedral, and every single little, and never mind hole in the wall, hole in the hedge, black box, everybody was doing coffees and neighbourhood and avocados and sesame seeds, and there was no one doing fries anymore.
Sesame seeds.
The area has changed.
The area has changed dramatically, because I remember we did a show called Pop Goes Northern Ireland about the Troubles. There's one of the famous clips we have, I can't remember, the early 70s, when the Duke of York is blown to bits. And the owner of the time was saying, basically, he said, I don't know what's going to happen, and the bars and bits and pieces, and the whole area is kind of run down. Early 70s, miserable time. But you got involved. When did you acquire?
I came back from LSE, and I was in Little Innsboy. I went to the master race there, and I left like most good. I was a punk.
You a punk?
I was a punk. Most middle class grammar school boys were the punk movement, and I ran away to London to discover girls with a single sex school, and then I got kicked out because my late father, he was very proud. I went to LSE, but after a year I got kicked out, and they said, "Why, Willie?" And I said, "Because I hadn't kissed a girl till I was 19, and I didn't realise LSE, the place we stayed up, the Aldwych, was right beside Great Ormond Street Nurses' Home." So I got a clip round the ear by my late father and sent back and did finish. And then I realised that, Belfast is a lot more. I could understand why London on a bank holiday was overheating. People were spending 4 hours to get to the coast, and I was always taught up when you're on a bus, you got up for someone older to give them their seat. In London, everybody, when people were storming down trains at carnivals, ripping gold jewellery, everybody just looked at their shoelaces. And I thought, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Let's go back to wee Belfast here. Let's go to Belfast. And the area was quite run down. It was always bohemian. There had been a crow's nest.
Yeah. That was the only gay bar.
That was the only one. There was a lot of people who used to cruise.
Yeah.
That was the only one in our little juice nightclub. But now there was still a bank in Waring Street. I think it might be a very prominent, beautiful hotel. There was Marguerite's shop in the corner. But we were always alternative. We started doing music with a guy, in fact, you will know him, George Chambers. He was a director of Cliftonville,
right.
the Apex Jazz Band, if anybody can remember them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we had different people. We, because we were doing different concerts, we had Fatboy Slim played upstairs. Sean Kelly brought us in, Sarah Milligan, a Geordie comedian you'll know well,
yeah.
Shapley Kershandley, Reginald G. Hunter,
Yeah.
and different other ones. We were all with kind of... we even had a Gallagher did a DJ set. People maybe don't know, but Noel and Liam had a brother who I can't remember his name. I know he did DJ up there. So we were all with an alternative.
Can I go back
venue.
a wee bit? Where are the Jacks from? It's an unusual name.
We're Huguenots. And,
you Huguenots?
Yeah, we were persecuted there. Every time I'm down in Dublin at the rugby, I go past the Huguenot cemetery. So Jacques is a French name.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
It's
but we were toughed out of Scotland. Let's be quite honest there. We're only 12 miles. The road to Tor, Boris's Bridge.
So the Huguenots, for those who don't know, were Protestants who were persecuted in France.
They were indeed.
And you decided, French Protestants, you decided to come to Ireland to escape religious persecution and religious wars.
And that was it. Many, many years ago, you know the way we like our battles, and they stuck us in a place called Corky, which is near Lochgiel, the Shamrocks, the hurling club.
Oh, right. I know.
And that's why we have an affinity to County Antrim.
Right. The Jacks. So are there many Jacks?
There's not too many in McGabry, but there's a few about. No relation to Simon, who the BBC, but it's a nice name, and it's a name that people remember.
Yeah.
Damon and Tim.
Yeah.
My name's Willie Jack, but it's Willie Jack full stop, right? And recently, well, a year ago to the day when we had the said King and Queen, it was you have to give your information on the back of a cigarette packet, and it was Willie Jack, blah 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 blah. blah. And when he started going Willie Jack, it's a bit like someone from Tyrone. They say it quickly, Willie Jack, and I didn't want to go. Look, Your Majesty, Willie's perfect, right? Because a lot of English people think.
I thought you were just Willie Jack, as there was a surname that come afterwards.
Yeah, Willie John's a popular one. Everybody in England thinks Sean, Paul, John, Joe, Paul, Og, Anna Maria, or Marie Therese, or everything. And I didn't want to be cheeky and say, look, just the Willie's perfect, you know. But Willie Jack rolls off your tongue. And in fact, it was the week after the visit. I was down in Dublin talking to the LVA, which is a well-known group of Dublin vintners, and Willie Ahern from the Palace Barracks had said, would like you to speak. And I said, I can't speak. He said, oh, Willie, you can speak. And I said, right, okay, I'll go on the stage. The head of Guinness, the head of billionaires, and me sitting there with a pinstripe suit saying, what the fuck am I talking to 200 publicans? And Ivan Yates came on, and he was a TD, and he's a commentator, I think, RTE.
Yeah.
And he got up and he started this is Willie Jack. He's a little bit about him, and he got offered an OBE, but he declined it because it stands for Other Buggers Effort. So I thought, right, how am I going to tackle him? Out of my depth here, Willie. All right, I'm swimming up the Irish Sea. So I thought, well, thank you very much, Ivan. I have come from the grey north now. I'm down in the blue skies of an Irish Republic. And by the way, I turned down my OBE. And he went, what? And I said, because in Belfast, it stands for one behind the ear. And once you realise that maybe in the grey north, the last 27 years, our humour's good, our people are good, with cheap houses, with great schools, and we are the friendliest people in the island.
And we have the best of crack.
So did you turn down an OBE?
No, I took the MBA.
Oh, right.
I didn't get the other's bugger's effort, maybe, but my love it was actually it's in the Duke. You'll notice I call it the Duke because it's shorter to call it the Duke than its full name. And I actually.
Speaking of which, was he ever in it?
No, he wasn't. Speaking of which, whenever his older brother came down, we kind of managed to turn, as you're aware, Tim, at your very short-lived 60th birthday, we have a lot of non-paramilitary murals
Yes.
in the back of the Dark Horse.
Yes.
And
Which I'm very distressed that the whole log gang don't appear yet, which you need to do something about.
Well, you had a comedian here. I mean, Paddy McDonald, who've probably interviewed him. He
Yes.
actually brought his own picture down in brown paper bag
Is that
and ripped
right?
it off. Because to go up, you can't ask to go up, and you can't ask to come down.
Right,
all right,
okay.
and that's the way the rules are. We will get round to it.
Who designs those brilliant murals? Who does
There's
them?
one that I pay for them, but it's a young guy from North Belfast, Kieran Gallagher,
Right.
and he is a complete talent, like everybody else in us. The musicians are the talent, the artists are the talent. He was the reason that they came down to look at all the Belfast workers, half-BAP workers, and it did only open for one day. Now, I would open again if people come down. It wouldn't matter if you're a nun from the Philippines, no money. If you want to see it, I will personally take you up and show you half-BAP workers.
Right. Okay.
I don't want art galleries where people come in, have a glass of Sauvignon with their neckerchief, and that was lovely, and never see them again. That's why it's a gallery where nothing is for sale and you can't get into it. It's a great Belfast thing. And we still employ a full-time artist, young Kieran, and it's just a good thing.
Yeah.
And when did you buy the Duke of York?
That was the early 80, 84, 85.
And did you see the potential there the day you bought it?
No, we were up at the King's Hall. In those days, there was no Odyssey. The BBC were still involved in a place called the Joker Club.
Oh, that's
And,
where we started our career.
Yes, so did Rhonda Paisley and different other people. And
a BBC show called The Show, very controversial. Look it up online.
look it up online. In those days, you could probably smoke in the studio.
Yeah.
I remember people running around saying, "Put your cigarettes out." It was a hall behind the King's Hall.
Yeah.
But it certainly was in those days. I can't even remember. It was controversial. It was ahead of its time. There was loads of people from Hollywood here involved in it. And look, we were just all with them. Remember the first night, I think, who was playing? Van Morrison was playing
Yeah, I remember that
in the
night.
King's Hall on St. Patrick's Day, and a young man called Colin
1980.
Lewis
Yeah.
invited
Yes.
me round to a party in a big park, Myrtlefield, to a party. And I says, I can't go round here. All these people work for me. We're all from the West. They were all from the West Belfast. I was Lisburn Road. And they'll only nick your silver, but thank you very much. And I went down to the Duke for a late drink. The police saw us. We were a very safe house. Had a drink. And coming up, I decided to go down the said Myrtlefield Park.
Yes.
And I saw someone, let's call him Christian, with a cravat at the door. And I stopped the car, and 7 people walked in. And we were sitting there in this lovely house, and the show had been the first one had all the publicity.
Oh, yes.
Because they had the late Reverend Paisley's daughter there. And I remember walking in, and I could see a guy, I think he's with RTE, John Kelly. And he sat on the couch, and Van Morrison, they got a guitar out, and all the girls who work for me, "Who's he? What does he do? Play something we know." So I think we got Van and John to do "Here Comes the Night" by the Beatles, you know? And it really was different times there. Belfast was moving. As I say, the BBC studios was up in the old showgrounds there where they built planes during the war. And
That's where we started our
Yeah, but we
the show, maybe the comedy
I
range.
tell you what, we were at that party. In fact.
right, yeah. When I saw things at that
You've
party,
no idea who we were.
and you have no
Some
idea. You
Some
don't.
party.
Yes, you know what I did. I saw something that stuck with me. There was no phones in those days, mobile phones.
No.
And I remember at the turn of the stairs seeing something that is with me for the rest of my life with a lot of hair on it, and it was you could have parked your bicycle in it. And ever since that there, I have had an opening to what goes on in BT9 stage.
All right,
BT9.
okay. Well, let's not get ourselves involved in legal issues.
No.
A lot of you. That was 89, 90, wasn't it? 1990, I think that was.
1989.
1989, the
was
show
first
started.
show,
And I think
yeah.
19.
And it was around St. Patrick's Day.
It was St. Patrick's Day. Van Morrison was on.
It was on, and some of the comedians, and in those days it was great for us because you didn't have to. the BBC was very generous and could have free drink.
Yes.
And, after that there, I don't even know, famous Martin, can't remember his surname, he went to New York to write books, but everybody after that, they kind of clamped down when they got the first ever barbell.
That was Martin Dillon.
I can't remember his name.
Martin Dillon, yeah.
And then we had this sign, I can remember people, lovely people, I don't know where they are now, Hamish Hamilton, everybody was copying other people's signatures for the drinks. But there were different times, we're coming out of the Troubles. Don't forget, the Kings all had gone through different things. I remember one night in the same studio, it was a World Cup, and it was they had a Republic were playing, and then the following week they were showing Germany for the pubs up the Shankill and the pubs up Finney, and there was a terrible shooting in Loughin Island, and the people were all happy coming out, and they were walking back, let's just say up to Finicki and turning right at the crossroads. You'll get my drift. And I was going, because I'd heard what had happened, and everybody was coming out, and I was going, look, boys, just put your jacket on over your shirt. It's just, and that was also in one of the big hen houses or cattle shows, to say, just not tonight, because it was darker times. Really,
it's interesting, Willie, because you are. You some people may not know you, but you run the Duke of York, the only Duke of York, the Dark Horse, the Harp. What's the fourth one?
The Friend at Hand. Everybody has a Friend at Hand.
And that kind of the commercial court is basically where loads of tourists come and they take the photographs of the umbrellas and stuff like that. But you've quite strict rules in your pubs that I really, really like. Number one, no machines, no kind of poker machines. Number two, no TVs.
No Rangers, no Celtic.
No Celtic, no Rangers,
Cliftonville.
no sport, no Cliftonville.
No fruit machines, no
But I
Cliftonville.
understand that, but that's, so you're very...
No North Belfast people. No, we take everybody, PTQ, pro tanti.
No alco pops either.
No alco pops, and we close all the bars at midnight.
Right.
Now, weekdays. The last hours is slips, trips and troubles, right? Last night was St. Patrick's. We closed the Dark Horse at 7. We closed the Duke at 9:30 and the Harp, bit more country people, at 10. Right. I don't want any other people. I was with Joe Dugan, a great guy, great music friend. My wife used to babysit Joe from a huddle. I don't mind the Telegraph going to 2 o'clock or all the rivals, Mr. Woolsey, the sports club. For me, our business is people who, if you have a train service and live in Bangor, Larne, Portadown, come in. If you don't have a train service, you get the 212 from Macrofelt. Yeah. We get older people. Yeah. And really, at midnight or 11 o'clock, there's still taxis. It's a safer city. We're not putting any pressure, being serious, on the ambulance service or the police. It's our model. It works with older people. Yeah. A lot of older people didn't come because the Troubles were on, and they didn't come out. People forget that, let me get it right, Biden, 27 years ago, the Good Friday Agreement, I used to do all the work at Hillsborough. People just stayed out of town. Yeah. And isn't it great now? And if anything, we're ageist pro. We're getting 60th, we're getting 70th birthdays. We're not doing 18th. I don't want duff music. I don't even do 20.
You're speaking
21st.
my language, my friend.
Yes, we're all...
We're putting off our younger listeners.
Paul Miller, yes, you'll say, who's that sad old guy there? And there was loads of things wrong with the 70s.
But they can go round the corner to the Ulster Sports Club, as you say, But
and we can still, sadly, we can't put up, we had to take down the mural of John Peel, but that's another story. But we will still remember, if you know the murals that were out the back, the people, maybe Jamie Dornan tying up Gillian Anderson. She did the last scene of The Fall, but it was such successful. We had another series 2 and 3 afterwards. And because he was driving back home through Carrickfergus to Scotland, and then suddenly the figures went up, series 2. So there's always, I found out in life, 2 endings, right? And with my rainbows now, our umbrellas were linear, a straight line, and 7 of them. And I thought, you know what? These pigeons in Belfast have damage in the tops of them with their excrement, right?
Some people might know these are become iconic now. They're kind of like the flipping something.
They were
the umbrellas in Commercial Court outside the.
Well, the funny thing is, every tour guide in Hill Street turns around the corner. And now the most photographed street, it's always the UK top 20, in Ireland the best. Daily Telegraph, the Tory Telegraph, everything. And they go round the corner, and the brollies have all gone to heaven. All right, but it's the damage that the pigeons do. So we. Took them down in January, and ever since, with 40 days of rain and 40 nights of effing rain. But they have come back, and the interesting thing is we have increased them. We've doubled it is brighter days ahead. And we make leaflets and tell people about the storms of life. We care about other people in Belfast. And we've actually made them in the shape of a rainbow. So if you think of Richard of York gave battle in vain. Yeah. If you'd like to explain to the colours of the rainbow in a nursery rhyme, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. So we've gone up to violet. The orange is 6 inches above the red, the yellow 6 inches above. So it actually looks like a polytunnel. Or if you're allowed to have it, a famous American snack called a Pringle. So we actually have a rainbow. And there will be an end to the rainbow. It'll be Journey's end. It'll be maybe my end. And it'll be a rainbow's end. We have a beginning, which we got the great Liam Neeson, who's still alive, to do a voiceover. Coming out of COVID, we put them up. We were fortunate that Liam's late mum, Kitty, was a dinner lady in St. Louis, where my wife went to. But more importantly, Ronan, my brother, he likes second portions. Oliver, I should have called him. And Kitty always got 2 portions in St. Louis and Ballymena.
So just we'll run that by me again. Liam Neeson's ma, give your
brother-in-law double portions every day, right? And
see, that's Northern Ireland for you.
That's Northern Ireland. There's no such thing as a free dinner, right?
Ma, give my brother-in-law free dinners.
And Ronan had an antique shop with my late father-in-law Sean, and we used to push Kitty in and Mrs. McCann, her friend. We used to push them in.
Whoa! Row back there. My brother-in-law, sorry, the Northern Ireland being Northern Ireland, my brother-in-law is Liam's cousin, because Kitty or Peggy McCann was
solicitors.
Liam Neeson's auntie.
So when the two of the ladies were up there by the train, if they hadn't a lift home, Ronan drove a van, and they used to laugh because there's a step up to it, and he'd put his hands on Mrs. Neeson's backside and push her, and they were the kings of the road. They're higher up, never mind all the Coke bottles, the half-eaten sandwiches, and we were friendly. And Liam's sister Bernadette, a sexton, lives in Cushendall. We're very fond of Cushendun, the hurling club I love. And Liam kindly, coming out of COVID, was in New York, and he was going to film in Spain, and he agreed to do No Rain, No Rainbows. And it was it wasn't a poem. It was words that we meant about the cobble streets. It's a visual display. The umbrellas talk, they dance, they do everything. And he talked about hope, because when COVID had been on, it was bleak. We've never done food, and we thought, thank goodness there was government support, but it was a tough time in hospitality.
Oh, yeah.
And it was brutal for us, because you all know our pubs. Yeah. We had a BBC girl, lovely girl. She went to America. She came from Southampton, Emma Vardy. Yeah. And every time the news was on, she got a picture underneath the Duke. And she said, I'm outside a wet pub, which is the word. It's not even if they'd used traditional, the way we all like traditional roots wet and pubs and all the rest. But it was a wet pub. And when she'd go back to the anchor lady, let's say it was Nagamanchetti, I know the Duke doesn't have a kitchen. And it was so unfair. There were pubs up in Ballycastle and round the corner, one that looked like a smoothing iron. And they didn't even have a kitchen. But if the peelers come in, they showed them a picture of their home kitchen and said, the stew's on. They were giving you a roll-up and all. And plates of sandwiches, because you could only have a drink if you had a substantial meal. And everybody was saying, Duke doesn't have a kitchen. It's a music bar. So I even thought of doing food at one
stage. The one thing you have at the Duke, I have to say this, you've got great staff.
Thank you.
And, what, certain places in Belfast, after the age of 40, you become invisible. You could, the bar could be empty and they wouldn't serve you. But I've always found in the Duke, the staff are absolutely brilliant. I mean, and
Peter on the doors, brilliant. The guys.
Paul on the door, everybody.
Paul, I call him Peter. Apologies to Paul on the door.
Paul, small Paul. What happens? He was let go. He looked after all the independent. He would know Dominic Fitzpatrick, Ed Curran. And somebody said, you're 50, you're toast, you're shot. That's it. I actually think, see those guys there, as well as knowing every editor, they also know every bogeyman in the town. 2 o'clock, Willie, 2 guys there did this in the Sunday Life. And the thing in the Duke, it is older people. There are a lot of people, we pay people well. They've all got second jobs. And they actually like it. There's not some little 19-year-old with their phone hanging out of her backside, as if there's some message from Trump or Pete Hegseth on her phone. and we care about it. Yes, there's problems in the Duke.
But no, Damon's right. The staff are brilliant.
The staff are
you
brilliant.
Can get a drink.
The toilets could be better. I mean, the gents' toilets, you know when you go in and your feet stick to the floor.
Yeah.
Very good for me. It's not too good for the customers, all right? I can tell that joke about the gents if it happens in the ladies, and that's another issue we'll deal with. So it's just friendly people. We're all first names. It's just Willie. It's everything. That's where we are. As I say, it's a love. I'm nearly reluctant to retire because I love the city.
Well, I was going to say to you, your own. Hospitality is a tough business. I do a few gigs for Hospitality Ulster, and the rates issue, and the price of drink, and all of that. It is a tough business. But are you doing okay, or are you?
We're doing very well, and it was my late business partner Bruce who named the friend at hand after a great man. We always said we had to do more. If you're not given television, the music isn't a wedding singer. So if you look at the Harp, the line-up last night, Disco Beard, two boys from Newcastle, Duran from Portadown via the Philippines, the City, Regulars, these are all big bands. And the price is dear the drink. Yeah. It's actually cheaper if you're a regular, it's £5 a pint. If you're a tourist or English, it's £7, all right? We don't discriminate against anybody. But the live music, no one's taking a tenner off you at the door. Yeah. And every night in the Duke, it's 7 days a week. The Rapparees in the Sunday session. Yeah. I got the boys.
You can't get a seat.
You can't get a seat. They're boys all from North Belfast. They're all professional. They teach in schools, and they're great. Connor, Joe, shout out to them all. Kevin, unbelievable. But what they do is they're not. When they came to me, and the late Jerry Anderson was alive, and they were singing a song, Cushion Dunbay, and all I wanted them was to get a crowd in, to build it up between 5 and 8. I like the person who gets up for work on Monday morning. I'm not the Taoiseach. I know Leo, but I do like the person who gets up. And they said, what do you want, Willie? And I said, I don't want, I can't mention the bar, the Rock Bar. I don't want a big, broad, black brimmer on a Sunday night. I want the leaving of Liverpool. I want Merchant Dirk, and I want stuff. And we've built up and got very popular. The Rapparees are one of the best bands. They're actually touring New York now. And they're just a nice group of lads that have all grown old with me. Yeah. And that's what I like about Belfast.
You're consciously apolitical. I mean, presumably you have your own political views or whatever, but your businesses
I'm on the Mujahideen wing of the Alliance Party. That's a joke for your brother.
Is that right? You're in the military wing of the Alliance Party.
Mujahideen wing. The Bonmore Zulus or whoever follow Cliftonville. No one can put me in a box. As I say, when the King, we didn't even have a flag.
But no, sorry, your pubs are...
neutral.
Absolutely neutral.
Anything, there's nothing there. We've always got people down, and it doesn't matter who they are. I mean, everybody looks at the red benches and think, why is one gold? And I say, well, that's what you find under a rainbow. There's a reason for everything. And I watched a programme on Sunday night, Little Mary or something, one of the about the Brontes. Richard E. Grant was on it. And I say the story, when Richard E. Grant came down, really lovely guy, he sat down and we just painted the benches red, and he got red paint on his backside.
Oh, right.
And I thought, fuck, they're probably Armani. And he said, no, give me a black marker. And he wrote, Richard E. Grant was, W-O-Z E-R-E, ear, right? I thought, brilliant. Put it in the bench. I said, what brilliant graffiti. And about a year and a half later, a wee guy, Orly, from the top of the Falls Road, the road as he called it, said, I painted those benches again. I got rid of that graffiti, Willie. I thought, history. So we're a leveller, right? We actually like graffiti.
We get Richard E. Grant back to paint it again.
And put red paint on his jeans. No, we tell stories down there. That's why it is important that people will get, like the Liam Neeson thing, it will give people hope.
You're dropping a few names here now, to be honest.
No, just because everybody comes in. But Jackie from the Shankill comes in. I'll tell you what, everybody's equal.
100%.
It's all the locals that get the £5 a pint.
And the Duke of York was famous for the Duke was famous for several things. First of all, Gerry Adams was a barman there in the 60s. It used to be the Communist Party used to meet there.
Beside it.
And then it was a big haunt for journalists because, Sunday World and all that, and Big Jim McDowell used to be. So
everybody, the red book called The Who's Who, it's like a Bible of what you are. Yeah. And there was an MP for after Joe Hendren for West Belfast. And it's Gerry Adams, unemployed, and barman, right? Now,
Unemployed
I'm
bar-
not sure, but I think Jerry had another job at night, right?
Right. Do you think so?
Really, I do.
I think he's in court denying that.
I know he is, and he hasn't come back in. But I think it was.
Was he any good as a barman?
Well, it was Mary Matthews owned it in those days, but it was a pub full of left-wing journalists, W.D. Flax, Bud Baxter, everybody. It's always been a journalist bar,
Yeah.
but sadly nobody reads newspapers. So
Yeah.
a group of people had come down from North Belfast and were going along to leave a van outside the law courts. And they'd come down Hill Street and they'd noticed a security checkpoint outside in Skipper Street. I think with the Blackthorn. It wasn't the Spaniard in those days. There used to be Benny's on the corner, A1, and the Blackstone. And they saw the Brits and they decided to turn right and park their van. They didn't mean to blow up a Left Wing's journalist bar, but they quite hadn't got the Mercury tilt switch right.
Right, okay.
And they abandoned it and ran up and fucked away off into the night, right? And they accidentally blew up. The pictures are all down there of after the damage that had been done. Thankfully, no one was killed in that. And people, lovely pictures of soldiers going in to check the damage and come out with bottles of scotch and bush. And, it was a different times. People, it's what happened then. You got a letter to Hollywood here, to the compensation agency, till they blew it up. And then they, everything was, there was no war going on, so you just actually got your money.
Yeah.
And there was people, obviously, who benefited. A bomb went off at the right place, and if you had a nice hotel, you could have put in ensuite bathrooms and bedrooms because it was just a blank checkbook. But thankfully, again, brighter days ahead.
But it's a bar with a lot of history, and taking it over must have been a risk though at the time. You go on. I mean, you're a businessman.
We were lucky we were up because Bruce's father Ben had the King's Hall, and in those days there was no Odyssey, right? So all the concerts were the dirty old King's Hall, the Barry McGuigan fights, the first ever river dance. King's Hall was
the place.
The BBC studios. Unfortunately, it had 58 acres of prime residential use for South Belfast. So the RUS, in their wisdom, decided, let's move it to the Maze Longcash, all right? They all thought they were going to get a national stadium. It didn't happen. They thought they were going to get a slip road from the motorway. It didn't happen because when you've got a crisis and you're closing down hospitals, right? Yeah. The last thing you need is a 4 days farmers show to dictate where you do a slip off. Sadly, well, I don't know if it's sad or not, but the museum, obviously, they cannot agree, which is quite common, on what to do with it, right?
Yep.
So the agricultural show stays out there, and I think it thrived. It had more space, and they've now, they will do something. They can't knock the King's Hall down. They knocked the Thrupney bit down, which annoyed me because the Thrupney bit was a kind of 1970s building.
Yeah.
And it was iconic now. It's like brutalist. Imagine if they took down Transport House.
Yeah.
The 70s were quite nice. It's like my Perspex lamps. There was good stuff in the 70s, but it would have got probably torched. And there's now a day centre, and there's a care home. Maybe they'll take me in at a cheaper rate. And there's some nice houses all around Harp.
Do the last time I met you properly, the first time I met you probably was in 10 Downing Street. Do you remember?
Yes, you were. I think I walked up behind you, and it was you and Marty McCann, and you and Marty's from Divis, and I said the last time you were down here, you were trying to blow it up. But yes, we have been fortunate enough recognised.
You've been recognised for your contribution to culture and nightlife and
just culture in Belfast. I'm just a glass collector. I was throwing wash and vomit last night. I'm not that glamorous. But on that Downing Street, there was the Prime Minister at the time with a Rishi Sunak. And if you remember, it's quite funny. His wife had come over, and Kieran had done the stories of Rishi Sunak against Liz Truss. There had been hustings in Culloden for the Conservative leadership, and I don't know how big the Northern Ireland Conservative Party is, but they had the hustings here. So Kieran painted Rishi in a pair of shorts, Prada shoes, and we had Liz in £4.50 Clare accessories. And then we walked through Jacob Reek-Moth, and then we had Rishi down. We actually had Larry the cat with a coat and air bubble coming up and said, "Who the fuck is Chris?" Sorry for saying that word, but he was the Secretary of State. Right. And if you remember,
Heaton Harris,
offered Heaton Harris, who's actually, he's a decent fella. He's come back many times. I said to him, "Chris, Secretary of State, Willie Jack here. I was a big Remainer. That's the only secret I'll give you. And Julian Smith, the late Secretary of State, was my friend." And he said, "Well, Willie, call me Chris." and have a pint. And after a fair bit of while, he was a football referee too. I actually grew to like him, and he came over. He cared about the province, and more importantly, like Julian, the two Tory ministers got the Assembly talking. People don't give them credit for that.
Yeah.
There's a few people in between who you could easily forget their names who said, "Oh God, we've been offered Northern Ireland." You know, that's why Savage Javid. Plenty of people turned it down.
Yeah.
And these are all factual.
Yeah.
But at that Downing Street, Rishi's wife, she said, Willie Jack, she had a wee squeaky voice, why did you paint my dishy, Rishi? And I looked at her, and she had been in the news about 6 months ago, and I said, I thought your dad was going to buy the pictures. Anybody who knows, it's probably worth about 650 million.
Yeah.
And he can, because they're no good to me outside the semi-detached in Ballymena, a picture of Rishi Sunak's, and I couldn't tell him everything. His body was really fit, and I do know because I have friends that tell me things. I took a boxer from Sheffield, let's call him Prince, and I got Kieran to get the only Indian boxer I knew, right, to paint this really fit guy.
And stick Rishi's face on it.
So we're all guilty of a wee bit of plagiarism, aren't we?
Absolutely.
You had the King and Queen there last year, wasn't it? Last March.
Yeah, they came down there, no flags, Tim and Damon. They'd come down to open the Sea Holly that closed again after they left, and I think they had a good time. There were no flags. They met everybody, and they actually, at the end of it, they went to the Friend at Hand, which wasn't on it and not scheduled, and they took a bottle of whiskey and took a measure. They couldn't have arrived and gone at the whiskey shop. It would have looked bad. Here they are, RAF, wherever they've come in from or flown into, and let's get a whiskey and get this visit over with, and let's go to Balmoral or the Highlands.
Are they any crack?
They are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I absolutely think it's probably one of the funniest men I've ever met.
Charlie?
Yes, more so than anybody. Everybody that we met, he talked about the umbrellas, the tour guide saying DC Tours. What does it stand for? Dead Centre. Got them upstairs. I cannot tell you all the stories, right? I had 2 window cleaners, right? And they're both bald. And Willie Jack, what do you call them? And of course I did a Telly Savalas, me and Jim McDowell quote about Dolly Parton. And he laughed. He holds his hand across and he laughs. They were decent people. We had the Rapparees playing there. We had neighbourhood police with the barber. We had everybody. And everybody had a story. And he met everybody. And he had time for everybody.
Yeah.
You've met Charles, haven't you?
I did meet Charlie. I did a gig for him a few years before he was king, down Hillsborough. And I met him and Camilla. They were all right.
Yeah,
actually.
they were all right. Well, here, he left us. When he left the whiskey shop, and he had a laugh. He was going to another engagement, far more important, down Newfords Laner than us. But he was so happy. He thanked me, Willie Jack, and I said, look, Your Majesty, there's this expression, I'm not sure what language, it says, haste ye back. I think it's Ulster Scot. And I said, if you can't make it, send one of your sons. And Willie knows how to play a blinder. And the next week, Harry fell out over no police protection. And he was sent back to the west coast of America. But the seed is in his head. And that's the seed that... when I was down at the Vintners talking to them, and I'd seen 4 missed calls from UTV, a girl called Alison Fleming.
Yeah.
And I then eventually answered, I said, what is it? Well, King's talked about you. And I said, for flip's sake, that was last week. No, we're all down with Mark Simpson and regional journalists. And I went up to him and said, Your Majesty, thank you for coming to Belfast. And he looked at her and said, do you know Willie Jack? He can talk the hind legs off the household cavalry, that kind of quote. And so we must have made some impression.
Right.
Because I think when you come over here, you don't always have to, you have to do certain things. You have to go to the hospice, services, but you can also take in as well. Some people go to Talis now. Now they're realising, let's look at the craftsmanship. Let's look in the Cathedral Quarter, or the half bap as I call it. I didn't explain him why it's a half bap, and I don't want the quarters and all that Anglo-Trebekis nonsense, right? We had creative, Sort Design, Crown Creative, Crow, young people that are here, and we're paying them well, not we personally, but the jobs aren't going to London, they're not emigrating to Australia. Belfast, they're okay, they're lovely red brick warehouses, but we have the talent here. And that's why I don't want any more nieces or nephews to fucking emigrate to Australia. Let's pay them well. We have a great place, and we're honestly, probably the safest place in our bit of Europe. Next stop, America. That's extra stretch of water between us and mainland. helps. And if you're a fanatical tourist, believing you're getting 24 virgins for going to a sports arena, you're not going to get them, because you're going to think, look, Mick fell out with Paddy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Sammy.
Well, we do a joke in the show where he refers to the Emerald Isle, and I say, don't call it the Emerald Isle because that's green, and if Trump finds out we live on a Greenland.
Oh, well, the umbrellas were all green yesterday, Damon, right? And it was really good. There'll be red for Valentine's Day. There'll be red if a Virgin cruise comes in. I'm always busy in the second week of July. But one day.
Well, they can pick in red again when Clifton will make the Irish Cup final.
They could do. But one day we will have a carnival, right?
Right.
They're talking about the Fla, and this morning I was listening to it about road trainers and people, road closures and taximen and hospitals and all. I actually just want them to take a bit of money, at least our city council. I'm going to follow this up with a letter, and a good bit of people sometimes listen to us. Let's spend a bit of money in the assembly rooms where the Harp Festival started. Yeah. Now that you've bought it, right? And you may do a museum, maybe it'll be a Museum of the United Irishmen, and they're looking across a little alleyway where things did happen, harpists play. But let's spend a bit, take the weeds out of that great building, and let's show off to, whether it's 200,000, 500 visitors, what a great city we have.
They've bought the assembly, haven't the council bought the assembly?
They've bought it now, but now they need to do the seahorses. They need to do the pro tanti-quid. Yeah. They need a wee bit of paint. They need Kieran the artist there, and I'll get it.
No, absolutely no. This is a very historic building where Henry Joy McCracken was tried, I think, in 1798, and had the Harp Festival.
It was going to be a different thing. The whole sad bit is because Donegal Street and North Street, there's a huge 12 acres North Street car park, and we have a lot of keyboard warriors who said, we don't want it. I know you don't want it, but if you talk to the developer and get them to reinstate the little alleyways in different shapes and maybe do something, rate subsidies for other people. Let's make it creative. You have a great new university, and it's great to see all these kids coming down and going to neighbourhood coffee shops, and everything's good now in the area. But at night, if it's dark and dingy, you will get people hang about doorways, and they will come at you with there's a lot of addiction problems, and that's not the city I want to propose.
Yeah.
So why don't they do something radical? Nobody builds parks anymore. We have flower baskets, 1,600. So if they look at North Street and they decide to put in a gated park with 3 wardens, right? The university, all the students could use it. You'd need 3 rangers in it to stop people getting in. You'd make the fence round it look like all the poetry I do, Louis MacNeice, all the gates. Let's do something really with all our wordsmiths, whether it's Gary, Louis MacNeice, WBH or whoever. Let's do that. And then the car park would be under the green space. Let's have a big green space. And the surplus housing, better than the student housing, that's for the students. But there seems to be a lot of people coming from the Far East. Let's get better houses, and that will create the jobs. And that will be, imagine having a big green space. I've been waiting for 40 years for Brown Thomas to come to there. Then I had John Lewis coming in. And then the LV, I'm going to call them LV, I'm not call them LVA this time, the Lagan Valley Unionist Association said, we want the car parking, and Jeffrey wanted it his way, because everybody wants a big thing that pays loads of rates. In the end, John Lewis said, clear off, I'm not coming. So we've all been waiting for something, right?
Yeah.
But if you take the local people and do something good and with the university, wouldn't it be great? We've lovely buildings.
Oh,
Belfast stories annoyed me. They were going to fast track it to 2030. I'll be dead by then. To fast track is next week.
That.
No, but it could
You're
be.
about my age. You're frightening me.
Yes, same age. But they've got beautiful buildings. If you look at the City Hall at one end of Royal Avenue, instead of having stainless steel shutters and every Sunday everything's closed, you go round to the corner, you look at the Bank of Ireland, the art, you look at the Singer building even nicer, you look at the Central Library, you look at the Telegraph building, and then you've got a new university. Yeah. That is a great stretch of road. Yeah. But let's open it up. Yeah. And okay, I'll understand if there's a thing in St Anne's Cathedral after the service is over at 12. We work with everybody. Yeah. There are publicans that put on music at 1 o'clock on a Friday. I'll never do music outside. There are still solicitors and the like. Tim, I don't know if we're O'Hare's now, but they work, and you can't blast out Brown-Eyed Girl at 2 o'clock. There's people still some people still have to work in the city centre to 4. So after 5, you work with the community you're in, the circus school, that's how a city moves.
You're passionate about your business, aren't you?
I love Belfast.
The city, and you love the city.
It's things that would annoy me that they could
Where
get
are you
right.
from originally? Then? Willie?
I'm told you France.
No.
A great swimmer. I didn't know you worked for GCHQ there, the intelligence service down the road in Hollywood here. Did you feel that test? What?
Where do you?
I live in Ballymena. Hey,
You're in
I live in a semi-detached. I've lived in for 32 years. Met a Ballymena girl, fell in love.
Oh, Joanne, I've met.
You met Joanne, and everybody thinks because my mum was from Monaghan and I'm the little prod that went to Inst, and Joanne's actually a Catholic from Ballymena. She said, you have to come down here. And you know, Harryville was getting set fire. One of the two churches is Harryville and All Saints. And I said, are you mad? But actually, it's a great town. Yeah. And her late father had an antique, and the people do get on well in Ballymena. Sometimes you hear drums going, not just at a certain time of the year, but you hear other people. But actually, the people do get on. You're near the coast, and we've all got a beautiful coast.
What did your father do, by the way?
Controller, not general. He was he got the CB. He was quite high up. He was a permanent secretary.
Commander of the Order of the
Bath. Yeah, he can give you your bathrobe when you're staying in an Airbnb. Right. And he always wanted me. He was a great man.
Is civil
I never even knew he was. Yes, he was permanent secretary.
A permanent
I
secretary.
never even
in which
knew.
Department?
Well, agriculture and the farmers did very well in the 70s, and everybody liked if they get the grants from Brussels, which they did. They liked people like that. I never even knew how my father voted. Right. Isn't that amazing? He wouldn't tell me when he got a CB.
You weren't from a political home in any shape or form?
No, I just knew if he tutted, he went away on a cruise and didn't. And I was picking the phone up when I lived at home after, and they were saying, "Congratulations, Bill." And I was going, "What for?" He wouldn't even tell his sons.
Right. Oh, so, well.
He was a quiet man, but I kind of had an idea how he would vote.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all I say.
But you admired him, and he's an inspiration.
He was a Willie Hugh Jack, and I was a Willie Jack, and I was named. It wasn't my late brother Charlie, a great doctor. He died sadly of pancreatic. Paddy Jack went to Scotland and married Miss Scotland. But I had an uncle. My mum was a twin. They were called Dot and Daisy. Actually, they weren't. They were really Beatrice and Gertrude, but they were identical, so they got Dot and Daisy.
All right.
And they both married two cousins from Ballymena, Willie Hugh Jack, only sons, right? And then my uncle Willie died 65 years ago, so that's why they named me. It's not a dynasty thing.
Right.
Charlie, it's not the kind of the oldest gets the farm. It's not that kind of Irish thing. You're on the farm. The girl's your second throne. Everything's changed, including the royal family now, by the way. Succession. You know that. There'll be a succession here. I'm looking at, I don't know how many young give my head pieces are coming along the line, but it is part of, you've got to hand the baton over, boys, to someone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are you going to wind down? Are you going to hand it to somebody else?
I'm not handing it to anybody. I'm just going to get it.
You're going to sell them all.
If they want to open Hooters Bar and Titty Bar, yes, I'm going for the Harp Bar. Do you want me to really go into it now? Take the money, get the... I am not.
No.
There will be conditions.
Right.
And the conditions were you look after people and we don't do change. Right? We are a public house. We're open to everybody. Your behaviour when you walk over that door is equal. I don't care if you're from Beirut or Basra. Everybody's equal. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows it. Even last night there was a wedding and there was a guy, unfortunately, there isn't enough toilets and he got caught washing one of our kegs, okay?
Right.
And I'm not talking about the famous ex-Lord Mayor, stroke MP for North Belfast, who I know, and I must tell you a funny, I'm going to tell you a funny story about him, Tim, and he went to the toilet, and then the groom of the second day said, "Oh, look, he's from Australia, and he just got caught short, and he's had enough, right?" And I said, "Right, and I'm telling you, you're on coffee, and see if I see you have a drink in your hand or attempt that stroke again, all the wedding guests go out. And I don't joke, I'll put you all out." Sadly, the groom kissed me then, "You're a legend," which he didn't, wiped it off him. And thank God the guy from Australia didn't, because there's no wash hand facilities over our empty kegs.
Right.
Could you tell us a story about John Farouk? We're trying to get him on this podcast. We can't get hold of him. If you tell the story, then
Okay,
he might never come on the podcast.
No, he will do. He will do. I'm not going to do. He will come on. He was there and he met the king as well. Because whenever you have the king, you have a series of three people that have to meet. They have to meet the Lord Mayor, which was Mickey Murray.
Yes.
There was an alliance. I think he was an alliance.
Yeah, he was.
Then there was the MP, John. And then there was John Walsh, the head of the council. Three lovely people. My wife, Joanne.
Sorry to interrupt. Are you North Belfast?
I'm South Belfast.
No, sorry.
Lisbon Road. We're in. Yeah.
The North Belfast constituency.
Which really annoyed me, because during the Troubles, we never... there was an inspector, and he never closed down the Kremlin, which is also North Belfast, right?
Right.
But we were on the shadow of that, and because nightlife, right? We thought other licensees were having an easier time than us, but because in North Belfast the police had other things to deal with around parades and shops and stuff, that the heart of Belfast wasn't their problem, if you know what I mean. South Belfast, it was more like to be licensing. South East Rosetta, it wasn't quite as difficult, right, policing. So, no, that's why we had those three, and John met the Majesties, and he conducted himself very well. I do like the man. But when we were at Downing Street and that famous trip there, and we'd met some actors with Marty, a young girl, Devlin, I think her name, she was in Blue Lights.
Yes.
Annie Devlin, is it? Cookstown, the young police officer, the actress.
Yeah.
Can't
remember her name.
Catherine Devlin, right? And my wife was sitting there.
Catherine Devlin.
And John Finucane was there as a guest, and very good that he is in that street with you and Marty McCann from Divis and Cliftonville Road Upper. And we're all sitting around, and Joanne said to Catherine, "This is John." And she turned around to John, because she met Willie Jack, and one of the scenes of Blue Lights was filmed in the Harp Bar.
Yep.
And she said, "Do you own a pub?" And he said, "I shouldn't tell these stories. I'm going to have to stop this interview." He said, "No, I'm an MP. And Catherine said, "What's an MP?" And that was factually what happened there, as well as the Ashes and all the rest. So, John, come on the show here. The two boys are great supporters of Cliftonville and the heart of your constituency, and you have done a good job. And I would welcome it on. They won't trip you up. They're good boys.
No, we're not. We're very friendly. Willie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Do you know what I said to Damon? He said, Willie Jack, I know Willie Jack. Will he talk? I said, I think it'll be all right.
Do you know Damon's brother?
He'll be all right. I think we'll get a 40 minutes out of him.
Would your brother have been a BBC News cameraman?
Who?
No.
No?
His brother?
No. We have a friend.
You have a friend? Who is that?
Jim Cray.
Jim
Yes.
Cray.
Jim Cray, the
So
BBC
Jim
cameraman.
Cray, whenever we used to, before they developed Ravenhill, this is the last story. Ravenhill, it's all corporate, and I walked out like my school. Whenever I leave permanently. Hillsborough Castle, I don't go back. I'm not a boomerang, I don't go back. And they decided they want to make Ravenhill. It used to be a fortress on a Friday night, Ulster, where a big long beer tent and everybody's singing. Now you go in and say, would you like a muffin with your coffee and latte and frappuccino and family friendly? It wasn't like that. It was drop your bags down in a tent. But your friend Jim, it was half time and they were all in the beer tent. The beer was flowing. And suddenly a thing came across 15 minutes into the second half that he maybe hadn't gone back to a station in the camera. And I don't know how they blanked on the goal kicks or the tries or the conversion. But what I'm trying to say, a lot of the things that happened, it wasn't the most serious. It was done, there was nothing done intentionally bad in the city. We love the city, we love the people, wherever they come from.
Well, that's a very nice note to end on. Slagging off Jim Cray, which will be...
Slagging off John Finucane.
And John
We
will take that on board.
JC, JFs,
But
any
that's
initials you'd
nice,
like.
A very nice note to end on. If you are from outside Belfast and you've never been to the Duke or the Harp, I thoroughly recommend that area. It is, you will get served very well by the bar staff.
Yeah, and older people, and thank you for calling it its proper name, the Duke. I must say, BBC asked me.
Not the of York.
No, they did ask me. I will definitely, it was talk back. Would you like to come on would you like to change your name? And I said, no, Willie Jack's fine. I'm not done anything inappropriate in the 70s. But if you want to come on and make a quote, they were changing Prince Andrew's way and Carrickfergus. And I said, okay, I'll come on as long as you don't interrupt me and let me say it in full. And she said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm going to recite a nursery rhyme. The grand old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. His case comes up next week. And she said, thank you, Willie, but no thanks. So we can all say things and stop sometimes known stories. It's known as the Duke. Thank you very much,
Willie Jack, thank you very much for being a guest on this episode of the Give My Head podcast. We will be back next time. Thank you very much. In the meantime, thank you very much for listening. Like, subscribe and all of that. And buy tickets to see Tim McGarry's Height of Nonsense tour starting in the middle of April all over the place. All over Northern Ireland, Derry, Omagh, everywhere. Theatre at the Mill. Thank you very much. In the meantime, Willie Jack, absolute pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Free pint next time I pop
You are
in.
indeed, as long as I'm not still there.